story that will have you thinking twice before purchasing anything from anyone online.
Live 5 Investigates reveals a major blind spot when it comes to investigating online crimes, and some say it's allowing scammers to repeatedly take advantage of people in the Low Country and beyond.
Blair Sable found a woman who was arrested and pleaded guilty last month in connection to a ticket scam. And Blair, you talked with some other people as well who say they are still seeking justice.
Well, Ralph, that's right. And the Mount Pleasant Police Department actually issued a warrant for Aubriana McGowan's arrest 2 years ago after David Cote reported that she had swindled him out of $600 for Clemson football tickets online. Now, he filed his report in Mount Pleasant, where he lives, and I've tracked down several other police reports both in South Carolina and across state lines, all filed against that same person under nearly identical circumstances since. But even after law enforcement finally got a hold of her, more people say they became victims. Besides being Clemson fans, David Cote, Danielle Smith, and Stephanie Adams all have one thing in common.
I knew I had been scammed.
They all believe they're victims of a woman named Aubriana Dutil McGowan, who has since pleaded guilty in Mount Pleasant for obtaining property under false pretenses, for claiming to sell Clemson tickets, but never sending the goods.
I was so mad. I was so mad.
It's been 2 years since Adams reported to police that she lost hundreds of dollars to McGowan, but that's not what makes her mad today.
I don't care about the money anymore. I really don't. But she has scammed so many people. Like, she makes a living off scamming people.
Both Adams and Cote filed police reports about McGowan 2 years ago, but she wasn't arrested until September 20th of this year in Cote's case.
The police could have done and should have done more in these cases.
In Cote's case, investigators received information on McGowan's Facebook and Venmo, which appears to show several transactions with people that the report identifies as others swindled by McGowan. The warrant was put into the National Crime Information Center, a federal database accessible by police departments nationwide. When the investigator couldn't get in touch with McGowan, it appears the case went quiet until her arrest.
I think she's got a lot more coming to her.
A judge ordered her to serve 15 days in jail and pay restitution. The only case McGowan has been convicted in is Cote's case. We asked both the Mount Pleasant Police Department and the solicitor on the case why it took so long to prosecute. They wouldn't comment. According to another report, even after McGowan agreed with a South Carolina Law Enforcement Division agent to turn herself in on or around August 31st, 3 additional people filed police reports. When asked about this, a SLED spokesperson told us that this matter is not a SLED investigation.
If you can't turn to the police for help like they want you to, then who are you going to turn to?
It also takes away your peace of mind and your financial security.
No reports were filed with the Charleston Police Department in this case, but Sergeant Anthony Gibson says online scams are one of the most common reported crimes. And though they are a top priority, he says departments might not always have the resources to combat them. Most agencies have a limited number of employees dedicated to property and white-collar crimes. In all, Live 5 Investigates calculated all of the losses claimed in various police reports and found people say they sent McGowan and her husband Chris around $5,000 for tickets that were never provided for Clemson games and popular concerts like Tyler Childers at Credit One Stadium. More than once, people say they were asked to send money through a third party or friend who wasn't aware the tickets might never come through.
How is this allowed to continue?
Sue Hench talked to McGowan about buying tickets in 2021 as well, but never went through with the deal. Motivated to hold her accountable, Hench and others created a Facebook group to connect. But she says victims became easily discouraged by the lack of movement in their cases.
What's concerning to me is the fact that there are so many people that this has happened to, yet because they're not all linked in the same jurisdiction, it's gone somewhere in the abyss.
Most agencies learned of other crime reports through victims, but arresting offenders comes down to jurisdiction.
So if you don't know where the suspect is, it is very difficult to bring someone to justice.
Gibson says there are resources and partnerships among agencies to make arrests if the suspect doesn't live in the area they are charged. Records show at some point McGowan lived in North Carolina but moved to South Carolina. And following her arrest, she was also charged with being a fugitive from justice for relocating while charged with a crime in that state. Other challenges law enforcement face include verifying identities, determining whether or not accounts were hacked, and the overall manpower required to investigate. Sometimes these low-level offenses require a lot of effort for little to no payoff. McGowan, now in custody, gives renewed hopes to victims. 4 agencies with active warrants placed a hold on her in addition to her jail sentence. But not every case will be prosecuted. For Adams, the statute of limitations in her case, where it was filed in Virginia, has expired. The Federal Trade Commission reports that scams are a multi-billion-dollar industry. In 2022 alone, social media scams cost victims $1.2 billion. And this lucrative problem is a tricky one to solve.
What else do we know about the internet? It's constantly evolving, and so are the crimes that are going to be entrenched in the internet world.